You're what?
Thank you. So this is Senate Reapportionment Committee. It is Friday, February 4th, and everybody has had a difficult time commuting to work today, so we are just getting going. So I think that we were in the middle of looking at the map. We had kind of started at the bottom and we were up around Addison, Orange. And Nick, if you would like to share, is that what the committee remembers, that that's about where we were, and that we were kind of, we had tagged a couple things that we felt we needed to look at: Stratford, Thetford, Pittsfield, Orange, Windsor, Charlotte. I'm checking with Londonderry, Wilmington to see it, but that won't have any impact anywhere else except there. So is that what we have flagged so far?
I
Right.
believe so. Let me pull up the map and we can take a look.
But we had not actually changed anything on the map. We had just called those out as potential areas to, right? Am I right about that?
Yes, we're just in discussion and looking fully
Right.
and appreciating the minority map proposal. I thought that's where we were, and sort of making comments as we went north.
And the report that goes along with it. So I think we want to go down. Were we pretty much done with questioning Addison and Windsor?
We were Addison, Washington. Last conversation left us in Washington County, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Wait.
Do we want to move over to Caledonia?
Is it possible, Nick, to make that map bigger? Because
you mean zoom in more or zoom out less so that we can see more of the map?
Well, whatever people would prefer. I'm just trying to see it with populations, that's all.
For me, it's fine the way it is.
Oh, sorry, that was my bad. I hit the wrong button. We're all good.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that I'm looking at the correct map. Are we
Yeah,
looking at alternate map proposal, statewide map?
I believe we're actually examining. I have the 2010 districts with the current districts with 2020 population pulled up. So you'd like to see the minority map?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to know that we're all working on the same map, but I'm not sure what we're working on.
I think that what we were doing before was looking at the minority report map.
That's what I thought we were looking at, except
Right.
that Nick's has population in it and ours doesn't.
Yeah. I
Okay,
think
so
it did when we looked at it last
So
time.
the alternate Senate map proposal, statewide map, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't see that on our map lists.
Well, I'm looking at it now, and I'm getting it though through the apportionment board website.
Okay. So
Link to is a link on our website.
Yeah, I'm seeing that as well. Okay, apologies, folks. I'm just going to pull this up. Minority map.
oh, I'm completely lost now.
Well, I think that
I was on our
Allison, if you're
website.
so lost, I think it might be better for you to just watch the map that Nick has put up on his shared screen.
Okay, yes. So sorry, folks. This is the verified LAB minority Senate map currently on screen share.
Yes. And that my understanding was that that's what we were looking at.
Yes, it is. And now that I'm looking at it, I'm also recalling this is one of the ones that was experiencing a data error. So
That's
I'm
right.
going to take myself off of video here and try to find a better version of this. And I'm going to leave a screen share instead up of the LAB's static version, just the PDF version, so that folks can examine that instead.
All right, so I'm not sure where the issue was what Andy pointed out, the difference between the what do you call that thing?
Deviation.
Deviation, not divergent. The deviation in Washington and Windsor, even though the populations, it didn't make sense. Right.
Well, we figured out it did make sense because it was the population of the county, not the population of the district.
Oh, okay.
Right. Jeannie explained it.
Okay, right. Okay. So then there is no, so what, Nick, were you talking about the technical?
Okay, I have the map loaded. This is the correct one without any data errors that we're experiencing. You'll notice that the labels show the name of the Senate district, the number of members, the deviation from the ideal, and the gross population of that district. That's in the gray labels with a white lettering. And in red lettering is the name of the county with the county population. Districts are outlined in purple, and counties are delineated by red lines in between towns. So
and this is the alternate map.
This is the LAB alternate map, correct?
Okay, great.
Now, is that the same alternate map we would be looking at if we were on the Legislative Apportionment Board's website?
Yep.
It should be.
Yeah, and on our website, I'm looking at it. It's the colored map. It's nice and colored. It's got nice colors.
Correct. Okay,
Yeah.
that's where
Okay. So we had flagged a bunch of things here. Where is Pittsfield anyway? Wherever it is.
Pittsfield's on the
think
west
it's here.
side of the east side of Rutland and the west side of Windsor.
Yeah, I think it's this one. Oh, you can't see my pointer here, but I think it's right beside where it says Rutland.
Right. It's
Yeah.
now it doesn't.
Okay.
Yes.
See that on our map? I don't think.
Pittsfield isn't listed on our map.
Correct.
It was before, but now it's lost its name.
There it is.
Right. There it is now.
Yeah, now it's
Okay.
back.
Okay. So we've flagged those as issues. So let's move a little bit farther north. And do we want to go northeast or northwest to start with, committee? Which is your preference?
You pick, Madam Chair.
Yeah, you don't want to say and Bobby doesn't want to say, right?
No, you can go to northwest because I think we can figure that one out easier or quicker.
Oh, okay. Let's go to northwest.
Because we got,
Northwest
Miles
Vermont
of-
or Addison County?
No, northwest Vermont, the northwest corner of Vermont.
Okay.
We're done with
Okay.
Addison County for right now. So
We
we're
have
starting with
Miles of-
Chittenden County. We're starting with Chittenden. So we have, so the way Chittenden County is broken up here is into 6 districts? Or 5
Four.
districts?
This is
Four.
Jeannie.
Yeah.
6 reps. Isn't it? 2, 3.
Jeannie,
I'd be happy-
can you,
I'd be happy to-
Nick,
yeah.
just wait, Nick, can you zoom out a little bit so that we can see the entire county?
I have a suggestion if you
Yeah.
are, would be interested, that might be helpful.
Okay,
It's not about Chittenden by itself. It's kind of about the whole top portion of the state, and maybe an approach that might be helpful just to be thinking about what's going on, because the parts of the state that you've already looked at and flagged for various reasons are more, I would say, adjustments kind of that are internal or to a given district and its immediate neighbor, whereas this portion of the state at the northern, both the northeast and the northwest, are more linked because of the population shifts from the east to the west. So I just wanted to mention quickly what you're looking at. Obviously, you have choices to make in any case, but just so that you can understand better what's going on, maybe. I had mentioned before that there were these 6 counties, basically the 2 that were very small, Essex and Grand Isle, the 1 that is very large, Chittenden, and then the 3 that are kind of in between size. And so that's 6 counties, but historically, you've got the 4 that have at one time or another and currently overlapped each other as part of their district. So Essex, Orange, Caledonia, Orleans in the east. And then you got the 2 on the west, Chittenden, Grand Isle. And I'm not leaving out Franklin. Like I know I'm only not mentioning it because it's closer to the right size already. So that's why I've set it aside for now. When you take the 4 counties to the east that have historically kind of been grouped and overlapped each other in districts, Essex, Orange, Caledonia, and Orleans, they currently account for 5 representatives, but when you add up their population total now, just the counties themselves, you get quite a bit fewer than what would be sort of an ideal 5-member district. Obviously, that's too big. But ideally, 5 members would be about 107,000 people total. Just taking the ideal 1 member of 21,436 and multiplying it by 5, you get to just over 107,000. But these 4 counties are a little under 93,000 in total. So that was the challenge, was to figure out how to do regroup these counties in a certain way to reflect that shift in population. And where the shift is going was, I think is not a surprise to anyone, towards the northwest of the state.
So we should do northwest first.
Yep.
So the north, yeah. So
I'm going to just ask Nick
Yeah.
if I can to zoom out again so that we can see the whole northern part of the state, so that we can see the whole thing so we can see all of that we're talking about, because this whatever we do any place here is going to impact everything else here. So, okay.
Yeah. So in addition to just the observation I was just making about the Northeast and the Northwest, Grand Isle and Chittenden counties together are just, when you take their populations and add them together, you get 175,616, if I have that right. And that's just about 8, actually. It would be about 8 if you again worked with the ideal sizes of a per senator, per 1 senator. And so when you're thinking about the northern part of the state, and you know how many seats you have available to distribute and reapportion, those are the numbers that I tried, I had in my head that I was working with when I formed the districts that you see in this plan. So I just wanted to make sure that, because up to now, there wasn't really a question of, a shifting in where the seats actually are. But now when you look at the map, that is in fact what's represented in this plan. the Orange, Caledonia, and
Mhm.
and Orleans and Essex districts together is 4. And the Chittenden and Grand Isle with some adjustments because Franklin's a little too big is 8. Does that make sense? I'm happy to kind of,
Although I don't know, I didn't see that Orange was included in that.
Yeah, it's
I mean-
Caledonia, Orange and Essex.
yeah, it's a little bit below what you is visible, I think. But yeah, there it is. So that Orange is 1, Caledonia is
Right.
1, then the Caledonia, Orleans, Essex is 1, and Orleans is 1. The way this is,
Yeah.
the way I partitioned them. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I wasn't including it when I looked at that Orange. I thought we'd already kind of, okay,
So anyways, Jeanette, that's why I thought we should start over right on the lake and get Maz's district straightened out. And then we can move towns to the east. Once we do Franklin next and then move over to Orleans, Essex, and then down to Lamoille and Caledonia.
yeah, that's okay. I think we do need to address the issue of whether to keep Essex Orleans a 2-member district. We keep adding towns to it. Or if we also look at whether it should not be a 2-member district, because we in my mind, we can't just keep adding towns to from counties to make the numbers right. But that's just my personal, that's just what I am thinking here. I don't know where anybody else is.
Well, it's worked this way for 20 or 30 years, and I don't know what the big hoodoo would be to continue to do that. And the size of our 2 counties, you really need 2. I mean, there's 42 towns there, so you need 2 to represent it anyways. It should be 2. I mean, there used to be 2 senators from every county before
Mhm.
all the reapportionment. And, I've represented part of Franklin County ever since I've been in the Senate, and it hasn't changed. And if Berkshire was over with Richford and Montgomery, I represent the people in Berkshire 2/3 of the time anyways, because it's a heavy agricultural district. And, they just call me because they know me. And I think if that happened, we could certainly make our district a 2 Senate district without disrupting a lot.
So I'm just going to throw something out here and then you can all throw things at me. I think that just because we've been doing it and continuing to shift from one county to another to justify keeping a certain number of people in a district doesn't make any sense. And it is true that you do, because of your ag background, they do call you, but you won't be there forever. And
some will say different than that.
Well, you may be there forever, but I'm just saying that I don't think that that is it because of your what if somebody gets elected to that district that has no interest in ag at all, then that's going to be a different situation. So do we want to base things on who the individuals who currently represent an area? Or do we want to really look at how we should be doing this? And we could take the whole northern part of the thing and put it into Essex, Orleans, and just completely
Well,
got Franklin.
I said ag, but you know, right on the J Richford Montgomery line that
Mhm.
separates, we have J Peak straddling that, and there's equally, you know, it's in the east side of J is just as important as the west side of J, or vice versa. And so besides ag, we have the ski area and the recreational business
Mhm.
that's all part of that discussion. And you know, it actually functions quite well, probably better than some other districts function.
So,
Well, let me just add here.
Has a-
as
yeah,
far as
hey, Randy.
County- And that is, I get calls from Berkshire all the time as well. And I look at the number of votes that I and Corey get from Berkshire. It is part of Franklin County. And although they may call Bobby, they also call us. So maybe they consider they have 4 senators instead of just 2. But Berkshire is certainly within our orbit. It's an integral part of Franklin County. And one of the concerns that I have about some of the maps is how Franklin County, which is one of the growth areas in Vermont, is being now cut up. And now, according to this particular map, for example, we've got towns such as Eden and Belvedere, which are not part of our county attached, but we have key towns such as Georgia and so on that is not. Georgia, which is, you know, adjacent to our county seat.
And Fairfax, isn't Fairfax in
Fairfax
Franklin
is part
County?
as well, absolutely. And it's both, of course, are part of our current Senate district,
Yeah,
as is Al at this point. But I understand, you know, Alberg, of course, is obviously part of Grand Isle.
Yeah.
But they come, they travel east more than they do south, don't they, Randy?
Well,
Don't they
depends whether
work a
travel
lot?
by car or by water, but
No, but don't they work a lot with Swanton?
yes, they do work a lot
Yeah.
with Swanton because, of course, obviously we've got the bridge, and the
Yeah.
bridge connects West Swanton and Alberg.
So
So
can I
they-
ask Jeannie a question?
yes, please.
Did you move Georgia and Fairfax into the Chittenden district just to make up numbers there, or and Belvedere and Eden into Franklin for the same reason? In other words, what would happen if we moved Georgia and Fairfax back in to Franklin and Belvedere and Eden down into Lamoille again?
Sure. It was primarily a numbers question. I mean, I tried to think of something that was, I tried to think beyond just the numbers, but the numbers were driving the issue here because Lamoille County, just by itself with no adjustments, is too big by 21%.
Oh,
It's 21% too big to be a one-member district.
okay.
And Franklin is 16.5% too big by itself, you know, if you include the whole county. So both of those counties do have to have something taken out. And
Okay.
unfortunately, they're next to each other. So it makes it a challenge. And that's why it does look peculiar, I agree, to move something from Lamoille in to Franklin and then something back out. But those are the adjustments that I made, and that was the reason. They both are too big.
Okay.
What is the population of Georgia? I don't see it on here.
Georgia's about 5,000.
5,000, okay.
I forget the exact number.
48, yeah.
Well, I mean,
So,
more Lamoille with the addition of Belvedere and Eden is more of a something in which there's a more like configuration than moving it into Franklin, where it's just not part of Franklin. There's mountains in between and so on. It just isn't a good fit.
so which ones did you say are not a good fit?
Eden and Belvedere.
Yeah.
It's certainly not.
So,
Now, again, I guess you could say, if you look at Franklin, and you say, take Fairfax and Fletcher, for example, and combine it with Lamoille, I guess that's a possibility. But again, the problem is all three of these are too big.
Right.
And so it's a question of if there's anything to the east, for example, that could go into either the Essex Orleans district, or for that matter, if I look at Washington, Washington is got a -7%, even with a 3-member district. What would happen if Stowe got attached to Washington, for example?
Oh,
Yeah,
I can imagine.
Well, again, just in terms of the numbers, that's, as I'm looking southward from all these districts on the north, that's the place that seems to have a shortage of population, whereas the areas largely to the north have an abundance of population.
if you put Georgia and Fairfax and Alburgh back into Franklin County, I am going to say that you have almost enough for a 3-member district.
Yeah.
You're getting close to a 3-member district there.
Getting close.
And I don't know what else relates well to Franklin. I don't know this area at all, except that I do know that Fairfax and Georgia are really a part of Franklin County, and putting them in with a Chittenden County doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Georgia is more, Franklin probably, Fairfax is probably more increasingly oriented southward because it becomes a bedroom community and there's, travel routes to the south.
If I could just say, if you polled folks, my impression in Georgia and Fairfax, and asked them if they wanted to be part of Chittenden County, they'd say a hard no.
Yeah,
but they are related, or it might be different if you were saying something like, would you like to be in a district with Milton and Westford? There is a real distinction as you get north in Chittenden County. Those towns might suggest they don't want to be part of Chittenden County. So I think it matters. I don't think you can just sort of say it carte blanche, but anyway, just thought I'd offer that.
Mm-hmm. So what would happen if you put Georgia, Fairfax, Milton, and Westford together?
I'm not sure you'd have enough.
You wouldn't have enough for even one, would you?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think we have to do more work on this, quite frankly, and that's one of the things that I think we're going to do offline as well. I know Corey and I are certainly thinking about this in depth.
Well, you take
Route back week with some suggestions.
Route 7 runs right down through from St. Albans, Georgia, Milton, right down through, and so does an 89. I don't know about their school districts down in there, but I know Georgia would be mad as heck to go to Chittenden County.
Georgia, for example, their zip code for much of Georgia is the St. Albans zip code, and their telephone prefix, to a great extent, is the St. Albans telephone prefix.
Yeah, Carolyn used to really worry about that.
I guess we give them a prefix.
That's why I was suggesting if you put Franklin back, they could lose a couple of small towns that would blend in with ours over toward Jay Peak and Orleans County, but it would leave their, like Georgia and Fairfax in with them, and the numbers would work out pretty decent if you did that, if we did that.
I mean, right now, of course, we have Richford and Montgomery, which are part of Franklin County, that have for a long period of time been part of Bobby's district and the Essex Orleans district.
Yeah, you got 3,400, 3,500 there. And if you went south, and I mean, we'd have to talk to the people in Berkshire to see how upset they would be or not too upset. But I know Georgia and Fairfax would start a war if you put them in with Chittenden County.
And
So-
also in terms of House districts, Berkshire has been an integral part of the Franklin district, including Franklin and a couple towns surrounding it. So again, it breaks a lot of traditional barriers to move Berkshire.
So what if you moved Alberg into Franklin, Georgia and Fairfax back into there, removed Belvedere and Eden? Would it be, what would the number be? Is anybody really fast?
Well, the big issue in moving them back is whether or not Belvedere and Eden go into Essex Orleans or into Lamoille. One of the biggest problems about Lamoille is Stowe, because that's the one that really weights things. Now, whether or not there's a district in which Stowe more relates to either Washington, where there's a shortfall in population. I don't know what the effect of that would be to expand the 3-member district in Washington to include Stowe, for example.
May I ask a question, Madam Chair?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to look at both these maps, and I'm not fully clear. So Berkshire and Eden are technically in Lamoille County. Is that correct?
Belvedere.
No, they're in
Belvedere.
Franklin.
Belvedere and.
Oh, Belvedere. Belvedere? I thought you said Berkshire. Okay,
I'm trying to follow the county.
You can follow the
Fine.
county lines on the map that Jeannie, that we're looking at, because the
I know,
red
I'm just-
lines are the county map.
Right.
So if you look at Franklin County, the county of Franklin County includes Georgia and Fairfax and does not include Belvedere and Eden. That red line indicates the county line.
Right.
Yeah, it's just hard to see that. Okay, I'm getting. I'm just also trying to look at the minority map and squaring it with that. Okay, and it's red lines. Okay.
This is the minority map.
This is the minority map.
I know, but it's too small for me to see. So I'm looking at it on my iPad in the colored map, which sadly doesn't have any of the populations on it. So I'm trying to just compare, as I am blind as a bat.
Madam Chair.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm hearing Senator Perchlik from the last meeting ask if there was any sense of us each doing a bit of work and coming together. And I guess I wonder, we're not sounding unified on a guiding principle, although
Right.
we're not necessarily got opposing principles that we've put on the table. So that's something. But I guess my question is, when you were doing this in person, is that kind of what happened? People just brought them in their own creation and folks said, nah, I don't like this. Oh, well, this makes sense. I mean, is there value in there? Because I guess it's seeming a little more logical to me the more I listen.
That actually is what happened. And that's why we've asked people to kind of buddy up so that people in the Chittenden area can kind of come to you and say, wait, this doesn't make any sense. And Milton should actually be part of Lamoille County, or whatever people say. And people in the Northeast Kingdom can work with Bobby and try and figure out. And then look at kind of all of those things. I think that's, I think I misunderstood when Andy was talking about that, about how that would happen. But yes, I think that is, I mean, certainly Corey and Mazza and Richie have to have some input into that. Yeah.
And I guess another question is for people who've been through this, and for all of us as we think about our towns, we've said things like Fairfax would hate to be part of Chittenden County. Is there a town that would ever want to not be part of their county? I mean, I think it's sort of silly. I think every town, if you ask, would say, no, well, we're part of County X and we should be in County X. And so I guess I just want to caution that we shouldn't overstate this. I think we're all going to try hard to have it be as natural that way as possible, but inevitably that's not going to be 100% possible. And So I just get a little nervous when we ascribe too much
Yes.
value,
Yeah.
emotional or otherwise, to that statement.
You're right. And I have to tell you that both Wilmington 20 years ago and Londonderry 10 years ago went kicking and screaming out of Wyndham County.
Right.
But it had to happen.
Madam Chair.
Well, that's right.
I'd just like to add to Chris's comment, because, when we ascribe value, what is actually, the House gets the BCA
Yes.
to give public feedback. What is our version of the BCA weighing in on?
There
this?
is none, just individual public towns can weigh in. But because we don't have any county government, there is no comparable entity to the BCA's.
So, yeah, I think then we need to either figure out okay. I think that's an issue for us, is how we consistently and fairly reach out, and I don't mean fairly like the town, but fairly reach out to get feedback from towns, so that it isn't just one of us who's reaching out who has a point of view about where they should end up ultimately. But I think it might be I think we might also try and figure out a fair way for us to reach out to get feedback if that is something we want to do.
I think that we need to take input from people in towns, but as Chris said, there isn't a single town that's going to be happy about being moved, either from where they are now or from their county. And
I agree.
how we respond to that. And you're going to have people from this town come in and say, don't move us there. And then you're going to have people from this town and say, well, we have to do something here because we can't be moved. So I'm very nervous about, I think that when we come up with some kind of a draft map, that we can put it out and people can have input, but I think they should have input through their senators and through this committee. We do not want to have a public hearing or anything like that, because it would be just a mess.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
And we can reach out. I've contacted Londonderry and Wilmington to see how they feel about that switch. And I think that we can do that. Chris can reach out to.
Well, that goes to my question and concern is who are we reaching out to, and who do we think speaks for the whole town?
Well, I'm reaching out to their town clerks and their representatives. I'm not,
Right.
there isn't anybody who speaks for the whole town. And I'll tell you, when Charlotte when we tried to move it to Addison County, what really was split between Northern Charlotte and Southern Charlotte. So and ultimately, we're going to have to make a decision when people yell and scream that they don't want to go there. We have to make the decision.
Yep, I get it.
So
it sounds like we should all do a little homework over the weekend.
yeah, I
That's
think
good.
so.
Yep, that's good.
And I think particularly up here, but Andy, that is, it is interesting if you moved Stowe,
Yeah.
because
That
that would make it 64, which is exactly what it should be for a 3-member district.
Yep.
Stowe is 5,000. Yeah.
Huh?
Stowe is 5,000, just over.
And that would in some ways fix both Franklin and the other Chittenden district a little bit. And Lamoille.
Because Belvedere and Eden currently are really in Lamoille County, aren't they?
Correct.
Correct.
Uh-huh. So is Andy with us?
Yep.
I can't see everybody.
That puts Lamoille at 17,000.
Right, it puts them under. They would need, even if you moved them, and Walcott also.
Yeah.
Walcott is in Lamoille proper. I mean, it's a county, right?
Yes.
Yep.
But my question for Andy is, does Stowe, because of its location, does it relate to Washington County in meaningful ways?
Well,
I
maybe a
don't-
Waterbury, there's the Route 100 that goes through Waterbury to Stowe. So there's a connection there. But as Senator Pearson said, I mean, they definitely see themselves as Lamoille.
Okay,
Yeah,
So the connection would be to Waterbury and to I-89, that kind of connection as a travel corridor. But I think other than the travel corridor, Stowe is Lamoille County.
And their
Okay.
school district is very Lamoille County, isn't it, Andy?
yeah. And
yeah, it's
and
only
Route 100 goes right up through Lamoille County.
yeah,
But the school, it's all Elmore, the school district, it would be great actually to have a map because we're wanting to keep, as we have talked about, wanting to keep some of those things intact. It would be great to have one map with the school districts overlaid on it.
Do we have such a map? Does Nick have such a map?
I doubt it.
Sorry, can you repeat
I
the
bet we
request?
could find it.
We have one. I know we had one in the Senate Education Committee room, but do you have a map of all the school districts?
Not at the moment, no. I could assemble one though.
Yeah, and AOE could help you. And
And then we have to remember that there are some towns that do not want to be in their
Yeah.
current school district, and they're fighting and screaming to get out of them. So,
True. Yeah.
not that many though. And I'm
but,
not in this particular area.
and there are some who've just quit fighting and screaming because they think it's a lost cause. So we have a number of them down here. Okay,
Madam Chair?
yes,
Sorry, I just wanted to, you've touched on a couple things I wanted to just quickly offer.
Mhm.
Earlier, you asked about Franklin and if moving certain towns in could make it the size of a 3-member district. And I just wanted to say that it's currently about 14,000, just Franklin, the county by itself is about 14,000 too small to be an ideal 3-member district.
okay,
So you would, if you brought back Georgia and Fairfax and put Belvedere and Eden back into Lamoille, so you're kind of starting fresh, you'd need around at least 10,000 more from somewhere to make it a 3-member.
got it.
And it would still be a little too small, but you'd be sort of in the better target zone.
Mhm.
That was one thing. And then the other about school districts, that was something I wanted to mention as well, because the districts that you see here in Chittenden, I tried to respect wishes of Essex and Westford, who wanted to stay together because they have a joint school district, and also the Mount Mansfield towns of Huntington, Bolton, Underhill, Jericho, and Richmond also wanted to be together in a Senate district. So this, what you see here does, it's kind of the end of something that is accommodating a number of different things. I'm not trying to defend it in any particular way, but just so you understand why things ended up the way they did. Because I definitely considered all kinds of different arrangements. But this one does keep some towns together that expressed an interest in being together because of their school district.
Right.
That's great. Thank you.
Helpful.
Okay. Where are we? We're at the point where we think we should take Chris's and Andy's suggestion and kind of go off and do some playing with this, talk to some of our colleagues and maybe people in the districts that we generally represent, and then come back.
Yeah. And I have a favor to ask, Madam Chair, of Nick.
Yeah.
Which is, Nick, would you be kind enough to email us this map here that has the proposed districts, the populations? I mean, this map is so much more useful than just the minority map that's on our webpage.
This
That'd be
is the
happy.
minority map that's on our webpage.
No, it doesn't have populations in it. I'm sorry. It doesn't. It doesn't. I'm looking at it. It's colored.
Lines are the same, but what Senator Clarkson wants to see is a map that has all the names of the towns and the numbers.
Thank you, Andy. I feel like
Oh, I thought we were looking at the minority map.
on the screen we are. On our
Yeah.
webpage, the minority map is only colored.
Oh,
If I may, we are looking at a map of the majority plan. So all of the statistical data, and including the district lines, are identical to Jeannie's plan. That it is based off of the file that she shared with me. I've adjusted the labels so that they display gross population per district as well. So I'd be happy to print out a PDF of this and distribute it.
I would love it in hard copy, not on email, if you can, because we can go into this one ourselves on our, we can go into this, right? We have access to this.
Where? It's not on our website.
Yeah, you actually don't, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, that's
due
what
to
all
the-
I've been trying to say is this is not, what you're looking at on the screen is not on our website.
So why don't you just send us this, Nick, with a PDF?
Yeah, or
I sure
put it
will.
on the website.
Then we can copy it all.
I sure will. I'll work with Mike to make that happen.
And I'm going to ask you to send me a hard copy because I don't have a printer that can print it off big enough so that I can actually
Oh.
see it.
I think that would be great. You're right. I think that would be fabulous if we could do that.
Senator White?
Yeah.
Another question for Nick. I know, Nick, that it's difficult to get every town to be listed because of the data. There's no way to, you can
Yeah,
just,
we're missing.
you just have to try to deal with that, but that would be helpful if the more towns that you could get that had a name, maybe the county label gets shrunken or gets sent off to New York and New Hampshire with a, lines.
Understood. I will do my best to do that. In the meantime, or in case that I'm unable to cram them all in there is a copy of under the tab reference maps at the bottom of the website. There is a copy of a map with all towns with their 2020 population available. The one mistake that I made that I will make sure to correct is that I believe Topsom or Townsend is listed as having not Topsom. There's a small error that I will make sure to correct and alert the committee about. But yes, that is available as a backup, and I will do my best to get as much data onto this copy of the map as possible.
Thank you, Nick. The challenge with the map you just referred to with gross population, with the population in each town, is there's no county overlay on it.
I see.
You see what I mean? So
On which one?
On the reference map he just talked about, it's at the bottom of our map drafts. It says municipal name, population reference map. So if you hit on that, that's great, but it doesn't have any of the counties or current districts on it. So what's great about this
Yes, it
map
does.
that we have in front of us is it's the minority map with the populations and, with the key pieces of information.
I think
It
that
also
one
has
of
the
the,
county lines.
I think that
Yeah.
one of the things that we're going to have to be a little flexible about here is that I don't think everything can get onto the same map. I think we're going to have a little flexibility in using, unless Nick is a magician, but I think that there are some things that we're going to have the capability of looking at two different maps at the same time so that we can go in and we can say, what is that town right by Waterbury there? And what is the population? And we can look at a different map unless Nick can get every single thing in here that we want onto one map. And there will
And
be,
Madam Chair, I appreciate that. And I've been doing that. So because there is no St. Johnsbury there, I went in to see what's the population of St. Johnsbury and where it actually is. And it's between Waterford, Linden, and Danville.
right.
And but you don't see it there, nor do you see its population.
Right, and I think that we are going to have to be somewhat flexible because I think Nick did indicate that, like, for example, if he puts all the towns in, then still these legends, the county legends or the district legends are going to block some of the towns and some of the
Right.
population. So we're going to have to be a little bit flexible.
Right. Wait.
Well, I like a challenge, and I will see what I can do in terms of turning out as much data on one map as possible.
Thank
maybe
you.
Thought would be to give us two maps, one that looks like this with the overview and one without the indicia. And that way we could be able to accomplish both.
Right, right.
I think that's kind of what Mike just put in the chat that they had done on the reference map, that there's one that just does the towns and the population, another one that's the districts and the county population. But if you have those two maps, toggle between them, you would have all the data you would need. I think.
Yeah, I think so. So if Nick, if you can, I don't know if anybody else wants it, those two in hard copy, but I would love them on a really
Me
big piece of
too.
paper.
Sure.
I'd love it on hard copy.
Couldn't hurt to send it to all of us.
Yeah,
Understood.
thank you.
And
Madam Chair, I have
Okay,
to run.
And then,
Sorry.
of course, given the mail, we will probably get it by May, but that's okay.
no, that's not fair. I think the mails, we get all those letters from that chap in Barry all the time.
That's because the State House mails them out, uses their postage. Okay,
That should stop.
thank you, everybody. See you Wednesday.
I'll see you in the other room, Madam Chair.
Oh, yes, in one.